good to see everybody. I think I know almost everybody here. I'm Rabbi Nevo, and I'm very excited we're all together now. I'm very excited our choral group is doing its first show of its new formation. And it's good to be here. It's good that Pastor Tim is here from the First Congregational Church, and City Councilor Jerry Visconti. And we're going to have a few more people who are going to join us. And here's Father Sheridan, John Sheridan, coming in from the Morning Star Catholic Collaborative. So we're going to start. We're going to start with Steve Post, our Executive Director. Just a few opening remarks.
Thank you very much, Leora. Good afternoon. Welcome all. Especially I want to welcome our honored guests who are here today. I want to thank, first of all, Rabbi Leora and Lisa Miola for all the work they've done in planning and putting this event together. Like all the staff at Jack Satterhouse, they do a great job, and we really couldn't do it without them. But, you know, I also want to thank the residents who stepped forward to make these events happen. Without our resident community, you know, we really couldn't do everything that we do here at the Jack Satterhouse. And especially, as Leora mentioned, the return of the Jack Satterhouse Choral Group. You know, a resident choral group has been a long-time tradition at the Jack Satterhouse, but like many other things, it was put on hold during the pandemic. So it's great to see the choral group back, and I'm so proud of each and every one of you for all the time and effort that you put in and all the work that you've put into it. Today, you know, we're kicking off the Memorial Day weekend early, and you know, Memorial Day is a great time to get together with family and friends and, you know, have a barbecue and really kick the summer off. But as we all know, it's really a time where we remember those who lost their lives in the service of our country, and without whose sacrifice we wouldn't enjoy the freedoms that we have today. You know, many of us have lost family and friends. They sacrificed themselves so that future generations, including ours, could live in a country where we have the right of free speech, we have freedom of religion, we have equality for all, and we continue to strive for that in honor of their sacrifice. So let's remember those who gave the ultimate sacrifice and never take for granted all that we enjoy thanks to their devotion to our country. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Lisa Miola, the programming coordinator. And I'd like to again thank you all for coming to this afternoon's program. I don't know if you noticed coming in, there were some of us that brought down photos of our loved ones who had passed, some in the military, some not. I brought down personally, I have a collage of my grandmothers, both of them, and my mom, taken at what I consider to be significant milestones in my life. And I know originally, Memorial Day, originally in the 1860s, was known as Decoration Day, meant to mourn and pay honor to deceased veterans. And it was established as a federal holiday in 1971. And it's known as Memorial Day now, but many of us tend to remember our loved ones that have gone and passed before us. The first song I'd like to present from the choral group is Mama. It was composed in 1940 with Italian lyrics, and in 1946 with English lyrics. So the Jack Static Choral Group proudly presents Miss Maria Manganella.
When the evening shadows fall and the lovely day is through, then with longing I recall those years I spent with you. Mamma, solo che per mi consoglievoia. Mamma, sola con Deus non sarà io solo. Quando ti voglio bene, que ispira sole non muore, non è sospiro nel cuore. Oh, sei lassù, sola sua, mamma, until the day that we're together once more. I'll live in these memories until the day that we're together once more. Mama, oh my mama.
Also Marie's birthday today. So, wow. I'm honored to invite Mayor Arrigo, Mayor of the City of Revere, to say a few words. Just in time.
Afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Memorial Day weekend. It is always an honor and a pleasure to be here with all of you. And I want to thank Steve Post for the invitation and for all that you do on behalf of the residents of Revere. I also want to thank Rabbi Nevo for putting the program together and always being there. You've been a consistent voice. Those of you who know, I've probably talked about this a lot, but throughout the pandemic, we got our faith leaders together, and Rabbi was always there, always engaged in the conversation, and that's why we see the folks that we see here today. And that's one of the silver linings that have come out of really terrible times, is that the partnership that we have, that the city has with the Rabbi, and with many of our other faith leaders, came out of that time, that difficult time together. So I applaud you continuing this work. So thank you for doing it. Let's hear it for Rabbi. I also want to acknowledge my colleague on the City Council, Jerry Visconti. Thank you for being here today, Jerry. As we come up on Memorial Day weekend, it's a long weekend that we usually get to spend with our family. But it's hard for me not to mention the tragedy that we've seen play out in Texas. It's certainly a scary time. A lot of us have a lot of questions, a lot of feelings. I know as me, as a father, first and foremost, but also as a leader of a community. And I don't think any of us have any answers, but I think it's important for us to take that time to really call that out, to make sure that we're thinking about what's important for the community, and really take a moment on this long weekend and not only think about the folks who have sacrificed so much on behalf of our country, but also think about the times that we're in right now. You know, I was fortunate enough to grow up in a really peaceful time. It was a stable, secure country. And that was really thanks to so much of the sacrifice that folks made before me. And ultimately, the generations before me paved the way for me to grow up in a peaceful, secure country. That was done by winning World War II, and that was done by committing folks through Vietnam, and that was done by, you know, our strength through the Cold War. And after the attacks of 9/11, we saw that change. I was 21 years old when that happened. And so I had already grown up in a safe and secure place. And you know, now we're no longer able to think of war as something that's just in history books. So Memorial Day, of course, is an important weekend, but it's not just about veterans. It's about the individuals who died for our country. You know, folks who made the ultimate sacrifice. And there are those that can't be with us now who we have to honor. And so this weekend, I know that I will spend a lot of time with my family, but I will also be, as a community, thinking about how we can pause, how we can reflect, and how we can ultimately remember. And there are a lot of folks for us as a community to pause on, reflect on, and remember. So I want to thank you. I'm eternally grateful for the wonderful community that we have here, the special community that we have here in Center House. And I want to thank you for taking the time for all of us to be here together and proving once again that we are one strong family. So thank you all, and hope you have a wonderful, wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. So I'm inviting City Councilor Jerry Visconti, and it's so great to have, you know, we're not just happen to be located in Revere, we're really part of Revere, and it's just great to have this relationship with the city.
Thank you. Before we begin, can we have another applause for, I believe it's Marie, for that wonderful song. Wow, did that bring back memories from home? It really did. So, you know, I was touched. It brought back some nice memories.
I appreciate it.
You know, good afternoon, everyone. I want to first thank Rabbi Nevo and Steve Post for organizing and hosting this event. It's always a pleasure to be here at the Jack Satter House. Every time I'm here, I'm reminded how special our community is. The cross-section of people from different backgrounds, religious and beliefs, is what makes this community and our city so special. It is our beliefs and what we hold most important in our lives that guides us every day. And listening to Mayor Arrigo speak about the recent tragedies in our country are really heart-wrenching. They are a stark reminder of the evil that exists in this world. But it also is a strong reminder of how important community is and how critical love, respect, and caring for each other is. As we reflect on Memorial Day and honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice, we should all be reminded of how precious life is. We should be reminded of our responsibility as members of this vibrant community to respect each other, care for one another, and continue to make Revere a special place to live. I'm honored to be here today, and I want to thank many in our community for their service and their sacrifice. I hope our country will use days like today and recent tragic events to reflect, focus, and push the real change that keeps our communities safe and filled with compassion and respect. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I love coming here. Whenever I have the opportunity to come here, I'm usually the first one. So thank you again, and I wish everybody a safe and happy Memorial Day weekend. And the summer is coming.
Thank you, Council. So I'm now inviting Lisa Viola, and the Dexter House Choral Group, who have worked together for very long on these songs that we're going to present today. There are a whole lot of songs, we have to narrow it down, and I'm inviting everyone to stand up. And we're going to hear God Bless the USA.
If tomorrow all the things were gone, I would for my life. And I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, because the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away.
Beautiful. Like the mayor said, we're very fortunate to have this group of faith leaders in Revere that we really love working together and love when they're here with us. So we have Pastor Tim Berger from the First Congregational Church in Revere. We're very fortunate Nice to have you live.
Love it. Thank you, Rabbi. Well, it's an honor to be here with all of you at the Jack Satter today. It's a treat to be here, and thank you for the great job here by the choir. What a wonderful job they did. And thank you for inviting us today to be here to think about this special weekend coming up and Memorial Day itself. So recently my son we're going back from school, driving home, and he was very excited because he had a presentation in his class about electric cars. And he was trying to convince me on the way home why we need to sell our car and buy an electric car right now. You know, great, good job. He had debated in his class, he debated it with me, and then I said, well, who's going to pay for this? And I said, oh, you, Dad. Yeah, okay, now I understand. You know, because the cost of it and what it would do to have to make that happen would be a lot. It would cost a lot to have that happen. Because in order to do that, it means someone has to pay the price for that. The Scandinavian intellectual princess, Elsa, yes, from the movie Frozen, once said, no rights, no wrongs, no chains on me, I'm free. Our definition of freedom, and what we define as freedom currently, affects how we view what it means to have it in America today. If freedom is the right to do whatever I want, when I want, this is what gets us into so much trouble and heartache today. Alexander Solzhenitsyn, in his address to Harvard years ago, once said, 200 or even 50 years ago, it would have seemed impossible in America that an individual could be granted boundless freedom simply for the satisfaction of their own interests or whims. Freedom, it seems today, is something we see so many ill effects from those choices. As already been mentioned by so many speakers, our hearts are broken about what has happened recently in America. It continues to be over and over of these stories that affect so many of us. Our hearts are with those in Texas and those who are suffering from the ill effects of the choices that people make, thinking that their choices or their rights are above the interests of others. Because what Memorial Day points us to is the cost of freedom. What it means for us to give ourselves to others, to really be willing to lay something down so something good might continue. Jesus, for me, as for those who are Christian in this room, know he once said, and it reminds us in John chapter 15, verse 13, greater love is no one than this, that they lay down their life for their friends. Memorial Day reminds us of people who gave their life, who served and gave their life for us, that we might enjoy the freedoms that we have today. Freedom costs us something. And when we stop this coming Monday to remember Memorial Day, let us stop, not just for the picnics and excitement, all the things we're going to do, take some time on that day to remember the cost it was to preserve the freedom we've been given. To truly remember that people were willing to say, I'm going to give my life up so that future generations can enjoy that. Mayor Arrigo mentioned the freedom that I grew up in as well, that the relative peace that I've experienced growing up in this country and the sadness of this time that reminds us that we cannot be taken for granted what freedom we've been given. We remember today the gift it is. And for those of us who look to the Lord in these times, we ask Him to remind us what it means to lay down our life for other people, willing to serve, to give, to pay attention to those in need, and to remember our military and all those who gave of themselves so that we can enjoy this moment of peace today. May we never forget or take for granted the freedoms we've been given. Maybe we be willing to sacrifice and do what it takes as a country to come together and stand up for those who are most vulnerable so that we might continue to pursue the gifts we've been given and remember what a wonderful thing we have in this country with the freedoms we have. Freedom is not for us to get everything we want when we want it. Freedom costs something from us, and it requires us to give, to lay down our life, as Jesus says, for our brothers and sisters, so they may encounter the love of God. May God bless you this Memorial Day, and remember the good gift we've been given in this country and the freedoms we have.
Thank you, Pastor. So Father John Sheridan, who always, from the, right, because I need to say, the Morning Star Catholic Collaborative, who's always the first one to jump in and say, I'll always be there, so it's great to have you here. I don't know if you're able to, follow Frozen and Elsa.
Hard to follow that. Hard to follow that. One of the great honors I get as a priest is to bring home people to the Lord. Particularly, what an honor it is to
bring veterans home. And when I bring them home to the Lord, there's a poem that was my privilege, essentially fall into my hands, that was written by Jean Shear more than 50 years ago. And I recite this poem all the time. All that we've been given by those who came before, the dream of a nation where freedom would endure. The work and prayers of centuries have brought us to this day. What shall be our legacy? What will our children say? Let them say of me, I was one who believed in sharing the blessings that I've received. Let me know in my heart when my days are through. America, America, I gave my best to you. Each generation, from the plains to distant shores, with the gifts they were given, were determined to leave more. Battles fought together, acts of conscience fought alone. These are the seeds from which America has grown. For those who think they have nothing to share, who fear in their hearts there is no hero there, know each quiet act of dignity is that which fortifies the soul of a nation that will never die. Let them say of me, I was one who believed in sharing the blessings that I've received. Let me know in my heart when my days are through. America, America, I gave my best to you. Today in the Catholic calendar is the feast, the solemnity of the Ascension. Our Lord ascends into heaven. And he says to his disciples over and over again, do not be afraid, I'm with you always. And I will send the Spirit on Pentecost, just 10 days away. We'll celebrate that glorious feast. We are a people who wait in joyful hope. And as Americans, we live, thanks be to God, in a freedom that was won for us by extraordinary, courageous men and women who put their lives on the line and remind us always what it means to truly believe and to serve. We as a nation are hurting this Memorial Day in a lot of ways. I pray that as we appreciate these days, we not only will be grateful for those who've given the sacrifice of their lives, we'll pray for those who serve now, and we will work harder to make this a country of true freedom, of true grace, and true peace in the hearts of each and every one who lives in this sacred land. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. Very, very moving. So I thought that I'd say a few words today as we commemorate Memorial Day. So we remember, as everyone said, all the loved ones and all the heroes who died while serving our country. But like Lisa said before, we're also come to relate to Memorial Day as a time where we remember all our loved ones who aren't with us physically anymore. And we're encouraged to remember not only that we love those people who aren't with us, but also how our relationship with them changed our lives for the better. How our relationship with them inspires us, still today, to continue to make this world a better place. This has been a hard couple of weeks in our country, and a lot of loss and grief all over. And as Memorial Day comes, and as the mayor said, it's a time for us to celebrate with our families and have barbecues and have a lot of fun and start the summer off, we also miss all those people who aren't with us and those relationships we had with them. So I've been thinking about grief and our relationship with grief. So I'd like to read the poem written by Rosemary Watola Tromer. And I like this poem. It's about her relationship with grief and how grief changes colors and changes how it feels and how we feel to grief. But I liked it because her grief, she relates to it as the ocean. And I know the ocean here is such a big part of our life. And she wrote this poem just this week, and she wrote it as a dialogue with Vincent van Gogh, with the painting Seascapes near the Saintes Maries de la Mer. And she writes, "Dear Vincent, I wish I could speak of grief as well as you articulate the colors of the sea, naming all the hues as they change in the light, noting the deep ultramarine near the shore, even as it tends toward pale russet, toward violet. It's always changing, you wrote. You can't even tell if it's blue because a second later, the changing light has taken on a pink or a gray tinge. The same is true of shades of loss. The moment I identify a deep feeling of sorrow, I notice pale hints of trust, nuances of awe. The moment I name it tenderness, it shifts into pain, ferocity, exhaustion. Tonight I stared into the seascapes you painted on the shores of the Mediterranean, and I knew myself not as the water with its capricious tones, but as the boat that sails upon it. Something transported by all this change. I tried to see the sea with the same perspective you had. It wasn't very cheery, but neither was it sad. It was beautiful. Oh, those blue depths with their emerald, their white. I let myself be carried by that beauty. So may the memories of our loved ones shine in their different colors and their different lights, and let them carry us with their beauty. I'd like to invite our choral group again, Lisa, to sing Peace on Earth. Please stand.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, but peace that was meant to be, with God as our Father, brothers all we. Let me walk with my brother in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my song now. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Wow, wow. Definitely time for Peace on Earth. You can have a seat. Thank you. Wow. I invite Annette Bonasaro, our Jack Center House resident, to read the poem by Johnny Cash, Ragged Old Flag. Do you want to read from there? No, you don't. Great. Fantastic.
Let me hold on to something. Hi. Johnny Cash wrote the Ragged Old Flag to reaffirm his faith in our country and in the goodness of the American people. And to my knowledge, this is the only poem that he has ever written. And he's played numerous concerts in Boston where he sang this, and he also was at the 4th of July Boston Pops Esplanade where he sang it too. Ragged Old Flag. as I walked through a county courthouse square. On a park bench, an old man was sitting there. "Sir," I said, "your old courthouse is kind of run down." "Nah," he said, "it'll do for our little town." "Well," I said, "your old flagpole has leaned a little bit, and that's a ragged old flag you got hanging on it." "Son," he said, "have a seat." And I sat down. Then he asked, "Is this your first time you've been in our town?" "Why, yes," I said, "I think it is." "Well," he said, "I don't like to brag, but we're kind of proud of that ragged old flag. You see, we've got a little hole in that flag there when Washington took it across the Delaware, and it got powder burned the night that Francis Scott Key sat watching it while writing 'Oh Say Can You See?' And it got a bad rip in New Orleans with Packingham and Jackson tugging at its seams. And it almost fell at the Alamo beside the Texas flag, but she waved on though. She got cut with a sword at Chancellorsville, and she got cut again at Shiloh Hill. There was Robert E. Lee, Beauregard, and Bragg, and the south wind blew hard on that ragged old flag. On Flanders Field in World War I, she got a big hole from a Bertha gun. She turned blood red in World War II, and she hung limp and low a time or two. She was in Korea and Vietnam. She went where she was sent by Uncle Sam. She waved from our ships upon the briny foam, and now they just about quit waving her back here at home. In her own good land here, she's been abused. She's been burned, dishonored, denied, and refused. And the government for which she stands is scandalized throughout the land. And she's getting threadbare, and she's wearing thin. But she's in good shape for the shape she's in, because she's been through the fire before, and I believe she can take a whole lot more. So we raise her up every morning, and we take her down every night. We don't let her touch the ground, and we fold her up right. You know, on second thought, I do like to brag, because I'm mighty proud of that ragged old flag.
So don't sit in it, don't sit in it. I invite the choral group to stand up again. And they're going to lead us all in God Bless America. Get your flags ready.
Through the night, through the light.
Wow. So thank you to the choral group. We can't wait to see what else you're gonna come up with and work on. Thank you to Lisa for all the work, the choral group and this program. Thank you all our guests. We love having you here. Hope to have you here many more times. And thank you to all our residents. Of course, there's Lisa.
Okay, so one more thing, because we wanted to coordinate things and be in this dining room, we are not serving dessert or coffee, but we do have something very tasty, sweet and delicious that you can take on the way out so that we can get ready for dinner. So thank you again very much.
On the way
and
out,
we'll be on the way out, okay?